Welcome back to another reaction to Oshi no Ko Season 3, Episode 3. Last episode, we got another glimpse into the entertainment industry regarding how such an episode is structured, who is working on that. And yeah, we did not get permission to use Tokyo Blade. So we have to somehow rectify that in the last second, which is going to be interesting. So this episode we have cosplay in the main focus. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Is it similar to the idol thing where we only have like one little area where we can change clothes? Is this the changing room? Is this just a partitioned part of a bigger room? I hope that there at the entrance someone is at least, you know, checking people. Who? I'm assuming that is a sister, if at all? No. Can't be a pink-haired girl, can it? No. It is.
Ruby.
What the fuck? I mean, she looks totally different. I mean, the hair color is making a lot of difference. But also the rest. By the way, none of this is Tokyo Blade related. Seemingly. She looks like a Hatsune Miku style. And then we have the sister, who also looks very different. They all look different.
Ruby.
I would not be able to recognize them. Who? Oh, that is this. Is this is a sister? Who's the other one? Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? We know Ruby, we know Minami, we know the sister. Where did you come from? Yeah, you don't use your voice, right? Because obvious. Again, who's she? Because we had the little, we had their cover page, whatever, and we had of these three people. Who? Yeah, her face was on the sister's pic. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. You can say that, yep. Good question.
前に別の企画で一緒になったレイヤーさんでね、今回の企画に沿ってると。
Did you work with? No clue.
と思って紹介したんだ。はじめまして、レイヤです。よく少年誌ジャンルでコスしてます。
No. Okay. For some reason, I had dress up doll in my head. But this wrong show.
寿みなみさんですよね。よくグラビア見てますよ。ほんまですか？恐縮です。
I have no idea. I have no idea who this is. Totally honest.
メイヤさんチェックしておきます。ああ、調べなくていい。私は
I would remember that. Right? Would I?
エロ系でやってるだから未成年にはちょっと。ああ。みんなは直前のコス変更大丈夫だった？私はオリジナルのコス多いからなんとかなったけど。 まあ大変でしたけどなんとか。うちは事務所にあったので。さあ、それならよかった。やっぱりね、テレビの人ってそういうところあるでしょ。なんていうか自分たちの都合っていうか、みんなが嫌な思いしてたら問題だから。なんかバタバタだったみたいですからね、現場の人。
I mean, technically, the director.
も大変だから。寿さんは芸能界の人だからね。まあなんとかなるでしょ。向こうもプロなんだし、このくらいのことは日常茶飯事だよ。行こう。
So, what is the real, you are seemingly at this convention, you are going to interview each other, be like, oh, cosplay. I don't believe you can ask anyone else, because, are you just, is that it? Is that all? If we need our staff, harassment not allowed. So we do ask random people, question mark. Now, I would say ask random people because this is a pure cosplay. But it could be him, for all we know. It could be him.
メイヤさん、本当にこの度はご迷惑をおかけしてしまいまして。
いえいえ、AD さんは大変ですものね。
You have no idea.
おう、やってるか。
He's going to ruin everything, isn't he? He's going, ooh. So, the director's coming in and he's like, oh, this is, fine, but we need some spice. We need low angle shots. We need to see more, some more erotic poses. He's going to be that. However, from last episode, we know that depending on the location, some of these things are just not allowed or very frowned upon. So, he's going to try and ruin the shoot because he's stupid. He's stupid. He doesn't deserve to be a director. That is why he got fired last time.
漆原さん、来てたんですね。
そら、
That question is insane. You came. Meaning that there were shoots where he was not even bothering showing up. Which is insane.
そら来るだろう。しかしあっちな。こんな中で暑そうなコースしてるやつは信じらんねえよ。
兄ちゃん、あの人がディレクター？
うん。
苦手な顔だな。
そういうこと言うなよ。
I just saw the girl on the left and I hope my mind was really like, oh, cat. I hope she has sunscreen on because holy shit.
やつじゃね
はい。
声。
No, he can't just interview random people,
てか。
even if you want to.
え。おい、あの子は。
コスプレイヤーのメイヤさんです。
いいですよ。
あ。
He's one of those guys. He always has to be, he's very egocentric. It's all, it's all, if he wants to have something, he has to have it. He can't, care about other people. In this case, even all of these people want to take a picture. They ask nicely. They probably have like a line or they do the circle if, in dress up doll where stuff like that happens. And everyone is courteous, everyone is behaving, and he's just going in, he's just pushing everyone around and is like demanding stuff because he believes that he's the main character.
君か結構際どいコースやってるんだよね
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? That is very inappropriate. She knows. She knows. You don't say that. You just don't. Even if you believe that, just don't.
いやエロいね
いや
It's not even a compliment.
まあ
いやセクシーだ
And naturally, he can't tell that he makes her feel uncomfortable. You also see, we have our main characters. You see the other characters. On the left side, he looks mad. On the right side, he looks like, what the fuck are you doing?
大きいことはいいことだな
Holy fuck.
なんて
Again, he's ruining the whole shoot. He's now making her uncomfortable. She had a good time. She was getting into it. Whenever you have a good time, you feel good. You radiate a specific aura because now, whenever we interview them, they are in a good mood. Everything is looking fine. Now she's in a worse mood. She's uncomfortable. And I'm assuming he's still here and he's going to interfere. How much do you make from your auto? Doesn't matter. And you see clearly that is the question he is asking. So what is going to happen? I hope. He's going to just say, I'm done. No.
ちょっとそういうのはそういう子もまあいますけど
Again, I did have the conversation with a friend, and I'm the guy I would burn everything down. He, on the other hand, he would be like a little bit more selfish that if you do that, naturally your job is gone, your future in this industry is probably gone. Because I would just take these questions, I would be like, okay, you want me to ask these questions? Are you really sure? And I would take these questions and I would say, okay, the director wants me to ask these questions. And I would also ask Ruby the same questions because the director wants me to ask them. So I'm asking her as well. Which he naturally is not going to want to do. But I'm like, you want to be an asshole. I'm going to, malicious compliance. Simple as that. I do wonder if the other ones were there to with the interview. Because the other ones also got asked questions, I assume. So I assume they were not there to hear the question. I feel like Ruby would just interfere.
だかな私は楽しかったよそれじゃあ私たちこっちだからうんお疲れ様お疲れ様
I do not like this at all. Why is she alone?
やっぱりテレビって最悪露出系だからって完全に下に見られてる東ブレコスの取材って言うから受けたのに前日になってオリジナルでとか言われて恋愛のリスペクト一切感じられない 準備どんだけ大変か分かってんの？正直ショック。しばらくコス活動も控えようと思ってます。
It got a lot of traction. Now, we can't really tell how many people she had following her. Also, I'm very bad with the Japanese way to display numbers. It's like 610 10,000, I believe. That is why this is like 610.6. Yeah, deserved. You know, you treat people like shit, they're going to be mad about you, and this went at least viral enough. This is going to hurt the whole show. This is going to hurt the director. The director is going to deflect, which is going to, you know, make it bad. Now, they could just cut her out of the episode, which probably would be the smartest part for them. But yeah, this damage they can't undo. Deserved for the director. I feel like the assistant director is going to be pulled down too, though.
この手の男って自分はお世話になってるくせに妙になってるくせに妙に偉そうぶるの何なんだよ。
Whoa.
男って
コス活動も控えようと思ってます。
Why did you disappear?
この手の
Those assholes feel so bad for Mayor-san. I'm definitely not watching the show. How could any professional act like this? Why do these men always act so high and mighty? This is
男って自分はお世話になってるくせに
taking a break. If she ends up retiring, are these TV people are gonna take responsibility? So, I mean, you know, this tweet went viral, but she probably had a pretty good reach beforehand, which makes this all the worse because you could have had a pretty good show. You could have gotten a pretty good, you know, name in the industry because you treated the cosplayer well. And maybe you could have done something like a follow-up later.
妙に偉そうぶるの何なんだよ。
Understanding attitude is so gross.
どうせコスプレイヤーなんて下に見
Have some professionalism. Do they treat her like that because she cosplays? Why interview someone you don't
て
respect?
るんだろうな。
Do the people in that industry not have common sense?
メイヤさん
Helping out, so what's with the attitude?
かわいそう。
テレビマンって希少すぎ。テレビはオワコン。
いつまで王様気分なの？
ワンちゃんもう二度と見ない。
ほうれん草しっかりしてりゃ防げただろうに。こういう仕事できないや。
So it seems like this is spreading. It's not only a viral tweet, it is spreading to different avenues. Now this is going to be, again, all because of the director. Director is an asshole. Now, not only is the episode more or less, you know, tarnished, the series is tarnished. Minami, she wanted to use this as an opportunity to widen her range. Her chance is tarnished, and I mean, Ruby's chance is reduced. All just because of the director. And it's not even where you could be like, hey, the director did a lot of work, you know, he made a mistake. We can be like, okay, like the assistant director. If he did that as a mistake, we could be like, okay, you know what? You made a mistake. It sucks. You can learn. You can move on. You did a lot of work. But the director did nothing. He did zero work. The only thing he had to do is ask for permission, which he did, but did not follow up until the last second. Instead of just being very clear, do we get the permission or not? And then, you know, having a plan B. And then he comes on to the, you know, the shoot and is ruining the shoot. It's like... 8 million views. That is a
メイヤ
lot.
さん、こちらの取材に不手際があったのは誠心誠意謝罪させていただ
This is not the right tone. He's like, he's on damage control because this is what he has to do, but it does not feel that very heartfelt. It would be a lot better if he had a real apology from himself, because he most likely knows what went wrong, and he would be like, I'm very sorry. I couldn't really dodge not ask these questions. Be a little bit more compassionate instead of this feels very
き
corporate,
ます。どうにか矛を収めていただくことはで
especially this part.
きないでしょうか。
無理です。私がどれだけ傷ついたかわからないんですか？私がアダルトやってるからって事前の確認もなく、コスプレの話そっちのけでセクハラじみた質問を重ねて、私にだってプライドはあるんですよ。体壊して仕事辞めて生活保護を受けるかない。
I didn't really want to pause on this.
体壊して
I was deteriorated and I had to quit my career. I do not remember. I just don't. She found another niche where she can make money.
それをあんな風に
And she's totally right. It's not only you ask her for being a cosplayer, not for her, 18 plus side of the business. You asked her to cosplay Tokyo Blade, changed it at the last second, and then you decided to just ask unrelated questions.
それはこちらも政府な LINE を読み違えてしまって。
I agree that we did something, but you can't. You can't follow this with the but.
えてしまって。
一番許せないのはコスチュームのことです。遠ブレの取材って聞いてたから、友達にも協力してもらって衣装を徹夜で仕上げたんですよ。それを直前に変更とか簡単に言ってくれて、レイヤーの
That is pretty hard. You can't really do much now. You know, the whole time is not going. That they put into working on the costume is gone. You can't really remedy that. No apology that you matter can help. The only thing you could do, and that is most likely not going to happen, is have another episode. Scrap the episode. Have another episode under your control, which already unlikely, or the control of Ruby, where you go and cosplay as Tokyo Blade characters. A real cosplay episode about the characters, with their permission, whatever, where she can then use the costume that she worked so hard on and is probably very proud of, because that is what I can gather from the cosplay community. They have their cosplays, they are very proud of that, they like to do that. Not necessarily about money, it's about a passion. And, have that as an option. It is not going to, remedy everything, but it is a good, somewhat apology you could do. That is the only way I can see this happening. Because it doesn't matter what you say. You can be like, I'm sorry, there's not much you can do to make it right.
それを直前に変更とか簡単に言ってくれて、レイヤーの子に今後こんな被害が出ないように注意喚起させていただきました。投稿を削除するつもりはありません。 次は深掘りの件ですが、漆原さん。
上からの伝達でコスプレ界の放送は一旦見送り。
Understandable. Probably scrapping it for the time being.
局としての謝罪も検討してるそうだ。以上。
Now he's going to throw everything at the assistant director because
お前な、次からはああいう面倒な女に取材申し込みすんな。内部の情報を漏らすとかプロ意識のかけらもねえ。ああいうやつに限って炎上商法とかに頼るんだ。
漆原さん、こんなやり方もう通用しないんですよ。今の時代はコンプライアンス遵守なんです。必要なんです、リスペクトが。
時代は変わってきてるってか。そうだな、お前の言う通りだよ。で、だったら何だってんだ。この番組のコンセプトは何だ。何のためにネット局でやってる。俺みてえなすでに絆ある D を起用してるのはなんでだ。やっちゃいけねえことだけが増え続ける世の中で地上波にできねえギリギリを攻めるためだろうが、不道徳と面白さは表裏一体だ。言っちゃいけねえ言葉ほど面白いんだ。
you know he's trying to be high and mighty. He's doing no work. Again, I would be somewhat on his side to be like, okay, I can see maybe they want to push the boundaries, but you don't do any work. So you get to say nothing.
規制の中で面白いもん作れるやつはいいよ。でもそんな天才はここにはいねえ。セクハラだのコンプラだの言われるのなんて承知の上でやってる。
It's not even about that. It's a whole shebang. You probably could have made this happen. You could have told her before. She would probably not have agreed to an interview. Fair enough. And just, whenever you approached her, you could have been a normal fucking dude, Maybe a little thank you for taking your time to do an interview, to be part of this, Thank you for, I'm sorry for the last minute changes. We got into trouble, Put her at least in a good mood for the interview, but it's not that you are a sexual harasser because of the content you put out. It's because you are a sexual harasser outside of the content,
俺だっ
which
て
is a problem.
妻やガキを食わせにはいけねえんだ。後がねえんだよ。コースの変更に関しては悪かったと思って
You
る。
do not.
俺も編集やらなんやらで徹夜が続いてたんだ。責任は俺が取る。許せ。
Questionable.
あいつはもうダメかな。古いテレビマンは去るしかねえのよ。
あと何年 AD 続ければいいんだ。 D に振り回されてスポンサーの意向や表現規制でがんじがらめで奴隷のように働いて休みもろくに取れない。仮に D になったとしても次の苦労が待ってるだけ。自由なんてない。
そんなことないよ。上に行けばきっと。
サスペンスドラマで崖から落ちて死ぬみたいなの多いじゃん。あれどうしてだと思う？薬で殺したら医療メーカーのスポンサーが怒るから、包丁で殺したらキッチンメーカーが、車で殺せば車メーカーが怒る。配慮。結局誰も怒らない自己死が一番丸い。キャストの名前を記載する順番がどうの、差し入れの位置がどうの、あれしたら違約金、これしたら違約金、くだんない慣習だらけ。
This is why, the show is so interesting. Because these are all these little things that you don't question. Because you are not interested, I'm not interested. We have a lot of stuff going on, but we have an entertaining show that brings up those parts. The refreshment part. You probably know that there is, stuff like not hidden, but like sneaky ads in shows where they drink soda and it's a cola. It's a Coca-Cola. That is advertisement. It is a hidden form of advertisement that somehow is allowed. I don't know why. And as he was saying, how do you place these refreshments? You need to place them in a way so that people can tell, hey, it's Coca-Cola, it's Pepsi, it's Dr. Pepper, whatever. And all these little regulations behind the scenes, as he was saying. Oh, people fall off a cliff because if you use a knife, then kitchen appliances are going mad. If they get run over, then car companies get mad. Yada, yada, yada. So many people with different interests, and you have to accommodate everyone. It's going to get very obnoxious. And that is where whenever you have a little bit of freedom, it's very refreshing. That is, again, if the director was working harder, I mean, he was like, oh, I'm doing all-nighters, whatever, or editing. Can't really verify that. The only thing we can verify is that he needed to get permissions. He did not get the permission. And other than that, he did not do anything else that we know of. He supposedly edits, but I don't know what you edit while the other shoot is going on. Then I would have been more on his side to be like, okay, he wants to push the boundaries. He wants to do stuff that normally you can't do, like someone dying with a knife because someone gets mad. You can do that if you push the boundaries a little bit. You are like, I don't give a fuck about this area because they are not really the sponsors right now. It is an interesting, view of the industry.
漆原さんはパワハラじじいでむちゃくちゃでほうれん草もろくにできない最低の人間だと思うけど出来上がるものは確かに面白かったんだよな。
And again, if only the content was harassing, I would be like, okay, I can see you want to push the boundaries. It is coming it is feeling very harassment-like. I can see that. But outside of the content, he is also this way, which makes it a lot harder to justify that. Okay.
拡散してるな。
Again, I feel like the only way is to do a good cosplay episode, which this is what I did talk about with my friend. He was, assuming that maybe because Aqua knows the author, he was part of the play, more or less, and that maybe that Ruby could use the connection with Aqua to get the connection with the maker of Tokyo Blade and maybe get the permission. I am assuming maybe we go that route to get the permission to then make a good episode, to then, make a good cosplay episode, so that this all blows over with a solid replacement. It may also be maybe that Aqua is going to do that from his side because his show is now getting dragged into the mud, which is bad for him.
僕どうなるんだろう。もしかしたらクビかもな。
お困りですか？
Why do you Okay. So, we know last time that she got help from good old Ichigo-san. Now, that is how she got the first pitch. And then, she showed it, she got onto the show, yada, yada, yada. Since then, she is more or less a mainstay on the show, it seems. Now, this pitch, is it also for Ichigo-san that made this? Or is this a one she made herself? Because from all the things we can see, Ruby is still not very smart. In contrast, Aqua, very smart. Ruby, not that smart. She has a lot of charisma, very energetic. She has a lot of qualities that are good, but intelligence, not that high. Meaning, I don't believe she's able to make a real solid pitch that would rectify the whole situation. Because we saw Ichigo gave her the tip to be nice to the assistant director. Now, being nice and what she did, it felt like she misinterpreted that and went a little bit too far with the being nice, which he saw then as, being flirty. So maybe that is why I'm assuming she's still not on the level that she would be able to do this herself. But we will see. We will see who gave her this. I am assuming we get to see that at the end.
企画書持ってきたんです。一読してもらえません？
Also interesting that she goes to the assistant director, which is smart because, she has a lot of rapport with him now because she is that helpful. So it makes more sense to go to him. He's going to read the pitch at least. And if it's good, he may go to the director, or what is most likely going to happen, that maybe he is going to be a temporary director for this special episode. I feel like that could be a good idea where we go.
深掘れワンちゃん。当番
I guess we are already in the episode. It got greenlit.
組はこれまで地上波ではできないさまざまな深掘り、ギリギリな取材を多数行ってきましたが、今回は特別編、スペシャルな内容をお送りします。
Ooh, okay. She got invited.
お送りします。
なるほど。深掘れワンちゃんらしいっちゃらしい企画だが。
Okay, with the director.
吉住が考えた企画？
いえ、リポーターの星野さんからいただいた持ち込み企画です。それを漆原 D と僕で形を整えて。
Okay. I do like that he was very open. It's from Ruby, which he could have just taken the credit. And also, together they polished it. Okay.
そういや、あの子がこの番組に来たのも持ち込み企画だったっけ？これ炎上したことがスタジオに呼ぶ流れになってるけど、OK もらえるの？
はい、星野さんが勧めてて。
やってんな、あの子。だいぶリスキーだけど。
面白いじゃない。やろう。
Oh, this is the more or less sheaf, right?
このギリ
What was that called? Not artistic director, but I assume he's like the one that decides more or less the general direction the show goes in.
ギリギリを攻める感じがうちの番組の持ち味でしょ。受けると思うな。
Okay.
皆様はこの投稿をご存知でしょうか？そう、この番組の取材が非常に問題となり、拡散炎上、批判コメントは数百にも膨れ上がりました。というわけで、今回の取材対象は当番組、やらかしたテレビ番組サイド、そして問題提起者であるコスプレイヤーのメイヤさんをお招きし、なぜこのような問題が起こったのか徹底的に深掘りしちゃいます。ワン。
Interesting. I do like that the director seems to be okay with that. Because he seems to have, polished the script, gave the script. He does not seem necessarily like a bad person per se. He has a lot of pressure on him because of his wife and child. And he knows clearly where he stands. He's not someone who's able to make modern day content, but he's able to push boundaries where they need to be pushed. it would be a lot easier to support him if he was better behaved outside of the interview.
まず聞きたいんだけど、なんでお前そんなノリノリなんだよ。
私は1ミリも悪くないから。なんなら炎上に巻き込まれた側。この番組のずさんな体制による被害者と言ってもいいわけです。
まずはメイヤさん、当番組スタッフがご迷惑をおかけして大変申し訳ありません。難しい立場の中、今回は出演していただき本当にありがとうございます。
いえ、私はただ。
So yeah, how did you convince her?
ミヤちゃんが正しいと思う。あの番組のやり方は違う。
She always has this very neutral smile on her face, which is interesting. I feel like she has learned this in show business. She has learned to always show this face because it's neutral, it is slightly positive, and she's able to hold it for the longest. Doesn't matter what happens. She had the same face in the interview, even though the questions were going against her and she didn't want to answer them. But instead of showing this, displeasement, whatever, she's always showing this neutral face.
私も結構大変な目に遭わされること多くて、ちょっと胸がスッとした。それならよかったんだけど。でもさ、本当にこれでいいのかな。テレビのムカつく人たちが燃えてスッキリでいいの？この炎上でテレビはコスプレイヤーをより扱いづらくなってコスで有名になりたいって人の妨げになるのかも。それは何が OK でない。
What are you doing, Ruby? Where's my cute little upbeat Ruby?
何がダメなのかちゃんと伝わらないと根本的解決にならない。本当に問題提起をしようとするなら SNS だけじゃ伝えきれないこともあると思って。メイヤちゃんがコス業界のためにもし自分の口で発信してもいいって思ってくれたなら私がフォローする。
How did she learn to manipulate that well? Did she learn from Aqua? You can learn a lot from him, but this is the second time where she's not necessarily wrong. It's not like she's trying to put you in a bad position, but she's clearly trying to convince you for something that is helpful for herself.
いい方向に持って行ってみせるから一緒に発信してみない？私は謝罪を求めて。
That is a problem because this takes a lot of intelligence to be able to push someone in the direction you want. So maybe Ruby got more intelligent than I gave her credit for. We also saw that, if you put her in the right direction, she's able to do that. She's able to follow your direction. She is able to, use her head in that direction. But she has a problem getting herself in the right direction. That is why whenever the Ichigo-san gave her the pitch and was telling her she needs to make herself, a niche, a character for the show, she was able to really work around that. And she needs, that Aqua is a good character to play specific parts of. That, Ruby was able to work around that. Again, she does know how to do that. She has a problem to get into the right direction alone. That is where she still needs help, it seems like.
わけではありません。このようなことがもう起こらないように原因の究明と改革を求める次第です。では今回の事件を順に追って関係者のコメントを交えながら整理したいと思います。
I do wonder what Aqua thinks about this development. He's checking everything.
はこれ、コスプレ判権問題。
Hmm.
当初レイヤーの皆様には東京ブレイドの衣装での撮影とお伝えしていたのですが、直前になって変更、多大な迷惑をかけました。これについて番組担当ディレクターの証言がこちらです。
当初社内のアニメ担当を通し、東京ブレイドのアニメ制作委員会に許諾の申請をしていました。てっきり通ると思っていたのですが、確認をしたところ許諾が下りなかったとのことで、スタッフにも欠員が出ていて、時間的にも精神的にも余裕がなく、すべきことを怠っていたのが原因です。
これについて局内のアニメ担当にもコメントをいただきました。
通常は制作委員会判断で許諾が下りるんですけどね。当ブレは厳しいってのは有名な話で、一旦原作者の確認が必要らしいんですよ。となると取材日までに確認が間に合わないって番組 D に伝えたんですけど、メールチェックもろくにできてなかったみたいで。
いろいろあるんですね。ちょっと本題から外れちゃいますけど、どうして東京ブレイドは判権許諾が厳しいんでしょう。気になりますね。というわけで深掘りしてきました。
I do like that we see more or less the whole episode play out. We didn't see this before. We only saw snippets. And I can see why this would be, a pretty successful show. I don't know if there is a show like this they copied for Oshinoko or not. But I can see this being very interesting because we have like the director saying stuff, we have the other party saying more or less something else. And now we get like, why is it so difficult? We get a little bit more behind the scenes, which I can see being very interesting, especially with other topics. They, showed that they had an episode about the people that censor rated 18 plus stuff, which there as well, I could see it being very interesting. What gets censored, why it gets censored, how does it work, through which department does it go, I can see this concept being very interesting. What the fuck are you doing here? What? Oh no. Is this a ploy to get her and Aqua to work together? Is that a ploy? Ooh, okay. He tried to stay away, and if it's similar to the other episodes, this is the live broadcast. So yeah.
有馬かなです。ルビーと一緒にビーコマチってアイドルグループやってます。今回はルビーの代理で取
Yeah, Aqua not happy at all.
材に来てます。ここがどこかわかりますか？そう、私は今出版社の方にお邪魔しています。今回のコスプレ
Right. I totally forgot about her.
炎上について東京ブレードの原作者
Wasn't she very shy? Was it? I believe so.
鮫島アビコ先生にお話を伺います。お久しぶりです、アビコ先生。
That's a lot of people here.
大変お忙しい中お時間いただき本当にありがとうございます。全然有馬さんが来てくれるっていうならいくらでも時間作ります。嬉しいな。
I totally forgot that Kana also has a connection.
早速本題なのですが、東京ブレード判権の許諾を通すにはアビコ先生の許可がいるとか。一応判権許諾には原作者の意見が反映されることがたまにあります。例えばうちの出版社は造形物のイベントで個人許諾は基本的に出さないんですが、原作者の意向で
Interesting. Again, lots of behind the scenes stuff.
造形物のイベントで個人許
So if someone wants to sell unlicensed merchandise, most people seem to, or publishers seem to turn it
諾は基
down.
本的に出さないんですが、
Okay. But sometimes the creator can overturn that and be like, no, let them have fun with my stuff. Okay.
作者の意向で OK になってるパターンとか実際あって、でも放っておくととんでもないもの売ろうとするんですよ。めちゃくちゃ露出多くて
He's not
お
wrong.
っぱいボイーンって感じのフィギュア出そうとしたり、なんかエッチな枕カバー出そう
Everything about Tokyo Blade.
としたり。そうなんですね。そういう時に限って窓口の人が女性だったりして。
Hmm. Smart. Very smart. Because if you send a man, a middle-aged man, it looks a little bit weird. Oh, look at how good this is and stuff. Then you have to have a really good quality figurine that is not sexual to be able to sell it to the creator. But sending a woman, it feels less weird. It feels less sexual. Now, just look how sexy she is. I assume they would probably say something like, look how cute this outfit is, how nice the colors look, package it a little bit more.
つい流されそうになったこともあります。
And seemingly it has potentially a high success rate. What is this picture?
アイドルに際どい
Okay.
水着着せようとするメーカーと手口が一緒ですね。でもコスプレくらい私の確認いらないですよ。
Is it not? Again, this is at the last episode, I assumed that cosplay would not be as heavily regulated. Again, Japan, different country, because it's going to be very hard, at least in the West, to sue someone for copyright infringement when they do cosplay of your character. It has to be more or less spot on. And then, there are some prerequisites for copyright infringement to really stick. Maybe Japan is different, but I don't see, unless, as she was describing, you use it to display the cosplay in a way that it was not intended for, without permission, that most companies would probably be like, at least turn a blind eye, be like, we're just going to ignore it. Because if you do a copyright strike or whatever against the cosplayer, that means all the other cosplayers are not going to cosplay this anymore, meaning less visibility. Cosplay is a form of advertisement, and you cannot ask for more than your fans advertising whatever you have for you. It is the best form of advertisement. If you tell your friend about a good show, he's going to, or they are going to listen to you a lot more easily than a trailer.
そりゃエッチな撮影とか言うんだったら断りますけど、むしろ編集者はコミケでたくさんコスプレしてもらえるデザインにしろって言ってくるくらいですよ。とやかく言う人いるの？たくさんコスプレ
Tons of cosplays. Oh, again, smart. Very smart. I do remember this. Was it in the show? Or another show? I remember the same idea that someone had for, they were designing, the costume for one of the characters. And instead of being a really intricate, really, high quality, you make it a little bit more basic so more people can cosplay it. So you have more cosplayers for, advertisement.
してもらえるデザインにしろって言ってくるくらいですよ。とやかく言う人いるのかな？基本的に版権問題は
Okay.
そこに愛があれば作者はノーと言わないんです。そもそも制作委員会はそこに愛があれば作者はノーと
Correct. I would say most creators would be on the same wavelength. It's like, they created this work. they have a lot of passion. Someone is meeting that passion with a cosplay, with a picture, with maybe a little story, an add-on, and you probably really enjoy that. Even the rated 18, this is in VTubing. You can't really stop people from drawing lewd fan art. So why not have it like, in a way to encourage it, to have fan art that is a little bit more tasteful. And whenever you see something high quality, they're going to, at least somewhat like it, not maybe on the main account, but
言わないんです。そもそも制作委員会の各社はグッズや曲の権利を得るためにお金を出してるわけで、その辺にも配慮しなきゃいけない。チェックはあくまでリスペクトに欠けた商品を弾くためのものなので、出版社が個人を訴えると言ったとしても、創作物に愛を感じれば私は止めるつもりで。
what she was talking about before.
ただもろくそ両辱者を書いて通販で荒稼ぎしてる同人ゴロは守りませんけどね。
各社の規約やお問い合わせを読んで自己判
Why are you pointing at us?
断でお願いしますよ。大体あゆのうちに1000
Oh, she's pointing at the camera. I'm stupid. I'm fucking stupid. But she's also pointing at us because we are the viewer. It works both ways.
以上現場からでご判断でお願いしますよ。大体あゆのうちに1000も入って以上現場からでした。
So now the question is, why did we not get permission? He asked, they declined, but the author had no involvement at all, seemingly.
判権問題も結構難しいんですね。
アビコ先生も相変わらずお元気そうでしたね。
次は取材誌の質問についてです。
メイヤさんは実際にどういう質問をされたんですか？
Maybe she doesn't want to repeat those?
露出の趣味があるのかとか、コスしたままエッチしたことあるのかとか、そういう感じの対等な立場やプライベートな空間での下ネタなら許容できることもあります。私だって全部が全部嫌いなわけじゃありません。でもそれは互いにリスペクトや信頼関係がある場合のみです。皆さんがコスプレ文化に敬意を持ち、事前確認や気遣いを感じていれば、私も皆さんに信頼と敬意を持ち、
I assumed the same. Now, she would probably not have agreed to the interview, which is totally fair. But already the whole beginning set this up for failure. If it was a lot more respectful, then she maybe would have even answered the question. She would maybe have said, this question is over the line. She would have a better work relationship instead of what happened.
こうはなっていなかったと思います。リスペクトのない下ネタというのはただのセクハラです。今回はこちらの都合を無視した直前のコス変更やコスプレイヤーを軽視した行動にリスペクトを感じることができませんでした。ですが、そちらにも諸般の事情があるのも理解できました。今はそれほど憤ってるわけではありません。再発防止の姿勢さえ見せてもらえれば、私は投稿を消しても構わないと思っています。
メイヤさん、今回問題を起こした漆原 D も深く反省しているとのことです。
Questionable, but sure.
でもメイヤさんが大人の対応を見せて終わりっていうんじゃ、ちょっと後味悪くないですか？
Why are you manipulating everyone? Come on. She's going to be one of those. It's like, whenever you are with your friends and one of your buddies, gets, I don't know, someone is agreeing on you to your buddy and they're like posturing, you an asshole, no, you an asshole, and she's the one in the back being like, yo, he could totally kick your ass and stuff. She's the one fanning the flames.
本当にメイヤさんはすっきりしたんですか？
してはないですけど。
ですよね。なので私から一つ提案をさせていただきました。
提案？
Hmm?
今
回コスプレに対してリスペクトに欠けた言動の数々やレイヤーの皆さんの努力や苦労に報いるにはこういうみそぎがいいのではないでしょうか。漆原さん、みそぎの時間です。どうぞ。
Is this all planned? Was this all planned? You did call for the director, right? Is he now in Tokyo Blade cosplay?
Meiya メイヤさん、並びにコス業界の皆様、この度は大変申し訳ありませんでした。番組の盛り上がりを優先しすぎ、皆様への敬意が欠けていたのは紛れもない事実、弁解のしようもございません。今後は第三者の意見を取り入れ、取材対象にリスペクトを持った体制に変えていくとお約束いたします。誠に申し訳ありませんでした。
いやいや、アホほどふざけとるやん。
おいクソバカ妹、中年のおっさんにどんな格好で謝らせてるんだよ。こんな安っぽいコスで謝罪しても何も伝わらないだろ。
That is a very good point. I would say the same. Because, okay, he cosplays. Or I cosplay. Okay, that is... You know, I can see the point. He's cosplaying as something, he's even cosplaying as something that he would not normally cosplay. It's a little bit of humiliation, it is a little bit of a respect, cosplaying, showing, you know, going through that. However, because I'm assuming he did not make the cosplay himself, it feels a little bit less, it feels a lot less sincere. If he made the cosplay himself, he would have more, you know, knowledge about the behind the scenes, how much work it takes, how much sweat and tears around the whole system. Now, I'm assuming she had a plan, so let's see what she came up with. Because she most likely assumed that Aqua would say that.
には目をって言葉があるの知らない？コスのみそぎはコスでした方が面白いでしょ？
面白すぎるのが問題つってんだよ。真面目な場で笑わせに来るんじゃねえよ。
そんなつもりないのに。これ自作ですか？
はい。
なんでさや姫のコスなんですか？
原作読んで一番好きなキャラだったので。
You see, a lot more sincere. He made it himself. He not only made it himself, he's saying he read the manga, his favorite character. So you can feel the passion behind that. And this feels a lot more sincere now because, you know, it's not an apology of, oh, I'm sorry I did something wrong, but an apology of, I did not know what was behind that. Now that I know, I'm very sorry that I put you through all of this trouble, you know, because now he understands what really is behind all of that work.
ボタンの付け方もろくに知らないんですね。ミシンもガタガタで何度もやり直したせいで生地が傷んでる。私も最初は同じ失敗したな。大変だったでしょ。
はい、こんなに手間がかかるなんて思いもしませんでした。この1週間家に帰るたびに遅くまで作業して。
もしこのコスが突然いらない、使わないって言われたらどうですか？
めちゃくちゃ切れます。
それを分かってくれれば私はもういいです。なんだか丸く収まったみたいでよかったね。
We are going to get the climax, right? He's going to ask her. Where did you come up with this idea? Who are you? Where's my Ruby?
メイヤさんとも和解して投稿消してもらえたし、番組的にも盛り上がった。こないだの夏コミ取材も一部変更で放送するみたいだよ。せっかく撮った回無駄にならなくてよかったよかった。
ルビー、これはどこまでお前の仕込みだ？いや、どこからがお前の仕込みだ？
何のこと？
Oh, come on. Really? We don't get... We stopping here? Really? Come on. Aww. Next episode is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Even... What are you talking about? She's even trying to hide everything from Aqua. That's not going to work. You're already, you know, he's already onto you. He was already from the very beginning. So he's going to ask, how is this? Where are these ideas coming from? It is going to be very interesting, the upcoming episodes. Very interesting. Really like the behind the scenes. It's always very nice. I do like we got to see more or less one full episode of Dig Deep thingy. Very interesting. I like the concept. He is very much like some of the YouTube channels. What was it called? I forgot. But some of the ones that are more about, you know, science stuff and so on, where you have like the main concept, which is simple, and then you dig deep, and there's so much behind. It's very nice. Very, very well done show.